Hi and welcome back. I think today's video is the most anticipated video I have made up to this point. So many of you under my recent videos have asked me, please tell us, what have you done to fill out your face? Have you gained weight? Is it the adipose cream? Is the Sculptra finally kicking in? Have you gotten filler? So in today's video I will tell you what I did to achieve what you seem to think is such a big difference. A few months ago I uploaded a video in which I shared my 1 year experience with getting Sculptra. If you have not seen that video, I will link it down below. I actually made several videos on my experience with Sculptra. I took you with me for my very first Sculptra injection, and I also made an update video, I think after I had 3 Sculptra injections. Again, all those videos are linked down below in case you're curious. Now, in those videos, I talk in detail about what Sculptra is. But in a nutshell, Sculptra is not a filler. It is a biostimulator. It is made from poly-L-lactic acid, or PLLA, the same material used in dissolvable stitches. It is usually injected into areas needing a bit of volume, such as hollow cheeks. But unlike traditional fillers, Sculptra does not produce volume straight away, but through stimulating the body's natural regenerative process, it gradually, over several weeks or months, can help replenish lost facial collagen or facial volume. Now, the reason I wanted to get Sculptra is that over the last few years, I had lost quite a bit of facial volume. Some of it is just the natural aging process. It's just how my face decided to age. But some of it, I think, was made worse by several procedures I had. I had a CO2 laser about 3 years ago, which creates quite a bit of heat. And I also had 3 radiofrequency microneedling sessions, which again create quite a bit of heat, about 2 years ago. I did make videos on both of these procedures. If you're curious, I will link them down below. So the natural aging process, coupled with these procedures, left my face looking quite gaunt. And if I lost just a pound or 2, I started looking sickly. So I went to see a plastic surgeon here in Paris, Dr. Guzman, and Dr. Guzman suggested I do a fat transfer. And so many of you actually asked, why didn't I just get a fat transfer? Now, while I think a fat transfer would have been a great choice for me, to be honest, it sounded a bit too invasive. There is a small surgery involved when you get a fat transfer, and like I said, it just sounded too invasive. So Dr. Guzman's second suggestion for me was to get Sculptra injections. And I really liked the idea, rather than to inject filler, to inject something that stimulates my body to do some work and produce its own collagen. So I decided to get Sculptra injections, and I took you with me for my very first Sculptra appointment, which, while I was quite nervous, ended up being much less scary and less painful than I had anticipated. Now, Dr. Guzman is a very conservative provider, and she likes to just use 1 vial of Sculptra per treatment to make sure she doesn't overtreat, and I really appreciate that. So she gave me 1 vial per treatment, and initially we thought that I needed 3 vials to see a difference. But as you can see in my before and after pictures, after 3 vials, really not much happened. So I kept going. Each time I went to see Dr. Guzman, I thought 1 more vial. So I got 4 vials. After 4 vials, I still didn't see much of a difference. So I got 5 vials, 6 vials, 7 vials. I actually thought I had 8 vials of Sculptra, but Dr. Guzman went through her records and she said I had 7. So after 7 vials of Sculptra, I waited about 3 months for my last Sculptra session to completely kick in, and then I did this update video. Now, I wanted to say really briefly that normally I don't waste a bunch of time looking for every single flaw on my face or body. I have wasted way too much of my youth doing so, but luckily over the years and decades, I have learned to love the person I see in the mirror, flaws and all. But that being said, of course, I, like everyone else, want to look as good as I can. And what I was hoping to get out of these Sculptra treatments is to look a bit healthier. So as you can see, after 7 vials of Sculptra, there was really just a tiny bit of difference. Definitely not as much as I hoped for. However, as I was saying in that video as well, in the before and after pictures, I really didn't see much of a difference. But I did see more of a difference in moving pictures. So when I went back to some of my older videos, and again, I don't like to obsess over every single flaw, but I am doing this video to show you the difference. So when I went back to look at some of my older videos, I could definitely see that my face looked very thin. Not just did my face look very thin, but my skin did as well. Versus in moving pictures after, again, 7 vials of Sculptra, while my face still looks quite thin, I can definitely see that my skin had gotten thicker. So that definitely was an improvement in dermal thickness. However, having spent so much money, I have to say I was quite disappointed, and I surely was hoping to see much more of a difference. Now, interestingly enough, under that video, your comments were quite mixed. From some of you saying you saw 0 difference and I had wasted my money, to others saying you saw quite a bit of a difference and encouraging me to keep going and get maintenance sessions. So usually once you have the desired volume from Sculptra, you get maintenance sessions once a year or so, depending on what you need. In that video, I said I wasn't sure whether I would get maintenance sessions, since I really didn't see much of a difference. On the other hand, I said I had already spent so much money, I might just get maintenance sessions. So I wasn't sure. But like I said, quite a few of you encouraged me to keep going and get maintenance sessions. One of you, an aesthetic nurse, encouraged me to keep going, but she suggested instead of Sculptra, I should use Lanluma, which she explained is the same material as Sculptra, poly-L-lactic acid, but a newer generation. And she went on to say that in her practice, she had seen great differences using Lanluma over Sculptra. I had never heard of Lanluma, so of course I googled it. And I also called Dr. Guzman asking her what did she think of Lanluma. At the time, Dr. Guzman was aware that Lanluma existed, but she hadn't used it. So she called her rep, asked him all the necessary questions, showed him some pictures of me, called me back and said, yes, let's try Lanluma. So after having had my last Sculptra injection, I want to say 8 months ago, I made an appointment with Dr. Guzman, this time for a maintenance session with Lanluma. Here is what Dr. Guzman says the difference between Lanluma and Sculptra is.
So this is the poly-L-lactic acid comes as a powder, and that is the reason why we need to mix it in order to make it ready. And I feel that the difference in between both, so that is the same poly-L-lactic acid but from the other laboratory, when it's mixed, it seems to be that all the particles are more lubrified and it looks more homogeneous. So I feel that this particularity of this new product makes that when it's once injected, so it's maybe more effective. And particularly we are noticing that only with one treatment with Lanluma, we are going to see the results that maybe we are going to have with the Sculptra with a protocol of 3 sessions. So it's quite interesting because obviously it's an evolution with a molecule that is in the market 30 years. And really we can do a concentration which is more important because we are moving from 7 to 9 ml to 15 or to 20, depending of the practitioner. And I'm very happy to know that this product is right now in the market, and that we are going to have maybe better results and quicker, because that is something that is going to shorten the protocol.
Now you said you can do it at a higher concentration, the Lanluma.
Yes.
Meaning you can dilute it more? Or what do you mean by higher concentration?
I mean, if you got more powder, so obviously you need to put a little bit more.
Okay.
So that depends of the practitioner to do up to 15 or to 20. At the end, you are going to have the same particles, and having high dilutions is that you can treat more areas, and that you are going to be safer in the point of view of having this granuloma reaction with that is absolutely a little bit higher with these collagen stimulators.
So the Lanluma comes with more product. Therefore
You got more product inside. Exactly.
Okay, that's good to know. But the same risks.
Exactly, the same indications, the same risks and complications, the same as we said before, that we cannot do, for example, the area around the eyes, to do lips. So yes, it's just an improvement in the way of this polylactic acid as a product itself that is going to be more homogeneous. And I think that is related in the way that is going to be maybe the works faster.
Okay. Now, obviously, because there's more product, the price is going to be higher.
Exactly. That is going to be higher.
Okay. But you will need less product, as we see with me. We've done one vial so far, and I feel it's about the results of...
Exactly, and it's amazing.
Sculptras.
That is the reason why with Claudia we are lucky, because we can see the evolution with one product and then the change with another product. So this is an ongoing stimulation of the collagen stimulation, and that is going to last longer, because once we arrive to have volume, this volume is going to be there up to 2 years. So it's quite interesting as a treatment, because that is just enhancement of the thing that we already did before.
I actually read that the Lanluma can last up to 5 years. Have you heard that?
I don't know, because anyway, for the time being, that means that is 2 years. Once you arrive to the volume or enhancement that you wanted, so then that is going to last up to 2 years. But then it's important to top it up. So that reason is an ongoing treatment, and as all treatments in aesthetic medicine, we need to do a little bit of top it ups in order to have the volume. But I don't have the experience of that, and this product just come to the market in Europe. So I think that we need to wait.
You said there is a sort of Sculptra expert here in Paris who is switching to Lanluma, correct?
Exactly, and she is very, very fond of Lanluma right now. I'm very happy. So it's quite exciting to have something new and that works quite well right now.
Now, as far as administration, it's the same as Sculptra, right? You're using a cannula, you're going quite
deep.
So you can definitely see that there's a difference in the consistency of the powder. Now, the Lanluma looks brown, but that's just a bottle protecting it from the sun, right? I'm assuming that
from the light.
But it does look as if the Lanluma is just a tiny bit more granulous than the Sculptra. Interesting. But same material, just a little bit of a different molecule size, correct? I would assume.
Molecule the same, but a different way of presentation of the molecule.
So again, both Lanluma and Sculptra are poly-L-lactic acid. They are both biostimulators, meaning they stimulate your body's own collagen production. They are used in the same way, they have the same benefits and the same risks. The main difference between Lanluma and Sculptra is that the Lanluma vial comes with more product. And if you search online, that is what they say the only difference between the products is, and that aside from that, the products are identical. But again, if we look at the two different vials, we can definitely see that the molecular constitution or the constitution of the Lanluma powder is slightly different than the Sculptra powder constitution. And there has to be a bit more of a difference than just more product in a vial, because Lanluma works faster. So after having had my first Lanluma injection, About 3 weeks after that is when many of you started commenting and asking what had I done differently. So Lanluma works faster than Sculptra. It is more effective. As Dr. Guzman said, 1 vial of Lanluma equals about 3 vials of Sculptra. I would say it's actually more than that, because after 1 vial of Lanluma, I saw more of a difference than after 7 vials of Sculptra. I have to mention really briefly that of course I also used Adipo, which is a cream that promises to help restore facial fat loss. I made 2 videos on my experience with Adipo. I will link those down below in case you're curious. Now, while after using Adipo for 6 months, I did see a slight difference, especially under my eyes and surprisingly on my lips. The volume I gained in the lower part of my cheeks is unfortunately not from Adipo, but from Lanluma. So Lanluma works faster, is more effective. It is also supposed to last longer than Sculptra, though as Dr. Guzman said, we don't quite know because the product is fairly new. But I have read that Lanluma can last up to 5 years, versus Sculptra is supposed to last up to 2 years. At this point, I have had 2 vials of Lanluma injected into the lower part of my face. And I have to say I'm quite happy with the amount of volume I have achieved. My last Lanluma injection was about 4 weeks ago. So I think it has come to fruition. I think this is as good as it gets. But like I said, I'm quite happy with it. And I'm going to stop here. I will get maintenance sessions once a year or so. Let's see what happens. But for right now, I'm good. I'm happy with the amount of volume I have achieved. And I haven't gotten any mean comments saying I look like I'm 100 years old, I should eat, I look like a skeleton. So I think it's working. Now I know you're going to ask me about the price. Since Dr. Guzman had never worked with Lanluma before, she gave me a reduced price. So for Sculptra, I was paying 600 euros per vial. For the Lanluma, Dr. Guzman charged me 500 euros per vial. But I am assuming, since there is more product in a vial of Lanluma, and since it is more effective, and you're going to need less of it than you need of the Sculptra, that the price is going to be higher than the price of Sculptra. But it's also going to depend on where you live. If you have had Lanluma, please let us know down below. Let us know your experience and let us know how much it cost, if you don't mind. And also, if you've had Sculptra, share your experience down below. Any questions or comments, of course, please share them down below. You know, always love to hear from you. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, bye.